Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kuru nandana bahu shakha hyanantascha buddhayo vyavashayanam. Translation: those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Text 42 through 43. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadancha vipashitaha veda vada rata partha nanyad astiti vadinaha kamatmana svarga para janma karma falapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bogaishvarya gatim prati. Translation: men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. Text 44. Boga Ishvarya Prasaktanam Taya Parita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samaudavna Vidhiyate. Translation: in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination of devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Text 45. Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtragunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvashto Niryoga Shema Atmavan. Translation: the Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Text 46. Yavan artha udapane sarvata sampluto dake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. Translation: all purposes that are served by the small pond can at once be served by the great reservoirs of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. Text 47. Karmanyeva dikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbur ma te sango stvarkarmani. Translation: you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Back to text 37. I'll read the translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder, Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Jai Prabhupada. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up and fight with determination. Purport: even though there was no certainty of victory for Arjuna's side, he still had to fight. For even being killed there, he could be elevated into the heavenly planets. Text 38. Translation: do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. And by so doing, you shall never incur sin. Purport: Lord Krishna now directly says that Arjuna should fight for the sake of fighting because he desires the battle. There is no consideration of happiness or distress, profit or gain, victory or defeat in the activities of Krishna consciousness. That everything should be performed for the sake of Krishna is transcendental consciousness. So there is no reaction to material activities. He who acts for his own sense gratification, either in goodness or in passion, is subject to the reaction, good or bad. But he who has completely surrendered himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness is no longer obliged to anyone, nor is he a debtor to anyone, as one is in the ordinary course of activities. It is said, Anyone who has completely surrendered unto Krishna, Mukunda, giving up all other duties, is no longer a debtor, nor is he obliged to anyone, not the demigods, nor the sages, nor the people in general, nor kinsmen, nor humanity, nor forefathers. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:5-41. That is the indirect hint given by Krishna to Arjuna in this verse, and the matter will be more clearly explained in the following verses. So these verses are talking about the three modes and transcending the three modes, the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And these verses are also talking a lot about Sankhya Yoga and the misinterpretations of Sankhya and the atheistic Sankhya and the true Sankhya from Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti, and analyze. The word analyze is similar to the word Sankhya, and but the key is, if Krishna is not in the center, if it's not relating to devotional service, Buddhi Yoga, also known as Niskama Karma Yoga, and then it's atheistic. Because if we just try to analyze everything and we're not willing to take the descending knowledge, the mango that's trying to be passed down to us, if we're not willing, if we want to try to figure it out from the ground up, that's what all the scientists are doing. That would be considered, most scientists would be considered probably atheistic Sankhya Yoga. They're trying to analyze without taking the knowledge of the geniuses and the pure souls before them who passed it down. The Vedas are eternal, and it wasn't just written down a few thousand years ago. It's actually passed down. In fact, the Bhagavad-gita was given to the sun god many millions of years ago, and the Vedas were passed down, and the four Vedas known as Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. But the fifth Veda is sometimes called is the Mahabharata, as Srila Prabhupada mentions, but also the Upanishads, the Puranas, the Vedanta Sutra can be considered the Vedas as well. And Krishna is instructing Arjuna to combine both jnana, knowledge and understanding, and karma, activity, and fight with detachment. And the detached work on the platform of knowledge. Krishna described jnana recently in these previous verses, knowledge, as the difference between spirit and matter, or the soul and the body. So we're not this body, and that's jnana, that's knowledge. That's one of the first steps of knowledge, is we're not this body. You are spirit, soul. Aham Brahmasmi, I'm spirit. And so this body is temporary. And if you were waiting outside of a dressing room and someone changed clothes, and they go inside and then they come out and they change clothes, you wouldn't say, oh, you're a completely different person. It's the same person. All they did was change clothes, change the dress. So this is a powerful machine that our soul is embodied in, but it does break down. It breaks down eventually, because depending on the planet you're on and your karma, your past activities, you get a body that's suitable for your environment. So we all have a body that's suitable for our environment based on our karma, our past activities. And we are just, we're trying to create, we want to, by chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then you can transcend karma and get out of this cycle, this samsara, this cycle of birth and death. And you don't have to accrue new karma and Krishna will take care of everything, as he's telling Arjuna. He says, just fight and I will take care of it. Don't get attached to the results, win or lose. No, just be an instrument. You know, if Krishna is a carpenter, I just want to be the hammer. I just want to be one of those tools in his hands. Or if he's a cook, I just want to be one of the utensils in his hands, just to help in some small way. That would be the best. And it said, Manmana bhava mad bhaktyo madhyaji mam namaskaru mame veshashi yuktvaivam atmanam mat parayanaha. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, offer obeisance to me and worship me, being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So we're trying to absorb ourselves in Krishna and with so many activities and trying to help other people become absorbed in Krishna, no matter where they're at, no matter where I'm at or where you're at. We're going to try to help each other get to the next level. And to get to the next level, sometimes we have to maybe give something up, that a part of ourselves, maybe that we're attached to ourselves, a part of ourselves maybe that has been around. It may not be so nice, but for each of us, it may be different. But we have to maybe look internally and say, what is it that I'm still attached to? What part of me is stopping me from getting to the next level? Because sometimes we have to maybe give something up to get to the next level. And so it can be different for different people. And so these are just a few thoughts. And text, I want to jump ahead to text 40. In this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Purport: activity in Krishna consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification, is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya, gave us the Maha Mantra as the easiest way to make advancement in this age, and he is known as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen souls. And so we can even help the animals, and chanting, hearing the chanting helps every living entity, even the animals, making progress. And when Lord Chaitanya chanted in the forest, all the animals became friendly with each other, even the tigers and the deer, and they lost their hunger and their some of their bloodthirst and some of their fear. And we are following the 4 regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds a day. And the 4 regulative principles are no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. And a lot of these are things that are taken from other living entities a lot of time. If you're gambling, you're trying to win, get something, and then the other living entity may lose something. And so a lot of these regulative principles are kind of taking things that we shouldn't take, and going down roads we shouldn't go. Continuing here, any work begun on the material plane has to be completed. Otherwise, the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. So it's like a bank account. You have a bhakti bank account, and every time you perform devotional service, every time you chant the Maha Mantra, every time you serve your spiritual master, which is known as very important, because the spiritual master, if you please the spiritual master, then Krishna is pleased. And if you displease the spiritual master, then Krishna is displeased. So pleasing the spiritual master is very important. And every time you cook for Krishna, or every time you go to Arti, every time you sing Harinam, every time you distribute a book, you're putting money in your bhakti bank account, and it never goes down. It never goes down. you're making spiritual advancement. And so your material bank account, it always goes down. It's such a struggle. But the beautiful thing about the Bhakti bank account is you keep adding and you actually get the results. You keep that bank account through the next life as well. Whatever body you take in your next life, you will keep that bank balance, and it will go higher and higher. And he goes on to say, the performer of such work is therefore not at a loss, even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%, whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamil performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100% by the grace of the Lord. There's a nice verse in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam, quote, if someone gives up self-gratificatory pursuits and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Bhagavatam 1:5-17. Or as the Christians say, what profiteth a man if he gain the whole world, yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? So the Christians say that, and Srila Prabhupada brings up the point in Science of Self-Realization is if they could follow God's law, that would be very nice. You know, they have the 10 Commandments and it says, do not kill. So how can you kill a living entity and eat its flesh? So he's seen some discrepancies there. And there's a nice, in Science of Self-Realization, read just a little bit of this. Srila Prabhupada in 1974 took his disciples and a morning walk with Father Emmanuel Jugalausan, a Benedictine monk from a monastery. And noticing that Srila Prabhupada is carrying meditation beads similar to the rosary, Father Emmanuel explains that he also chants a constant prayer, Lord Jesus Christ, be merciful unto us. The following conversation ensues. Srila Prabhupada, what is the meaning of the word Christ? Father Emmanuel, Christ comes from the Greek word Christos, meaning the anointed one. Srila Prabhupada, Christos is the Greek version of the word Krishna. Father Emmanuel, this is very interesting. Srila Prabhupada, when an Indian person calls on Krishna, he often says Krishna. Krishna is a Sanskrit word meaning attraction. So when we address God as Christ, Krishna, or Krishna, we indicate the same all-attractive Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Jesus said, our Father who art in heaven, sanctified be thy name, the name of God was Krishna or Krishna. Do you agree? Father Emmanuel, I think Jesus, as the Son of God, has revealed to us the actual name of God, Christ. We can call God Father, but if we want to address him by his actual name, we have to say Christ. Srila Prabhupada, yes, Christ is another way of saying Krishna, and Krishna is another way of pronouncing Krishna, the name of God. Jesus said that one should glorify the name of God. But yesterday I heard one theologian say that God has no name, that we can call him only Father. A son may call his father Father, but the Father also has a specific name. Similarly, God is the general name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose specific name is Krishna. Therefore, whether you call God Christ, Krishna, or Krishna, ultimately you are addressing the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. Father Emmanuel, yes, if we speak of God's actual name, then we must say Christos. In our religion, we have the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. We believe we can know the name of God only by revelation from the Son of God. Jesus Christ revealed the name of the Father, and therefore we take the name Christ as the revealed name of God. Srila Prabhupada, actually, it doesn't matter, Krishna or Christ, the name is the same. The main point is to follow the injunctions of the Vedic scriptures that recommend chanting the name of God in this age. The easiest way is to chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama and Krishna are names of God, and Hare is the energy of God. So when we chant the Maha Mantra, we address God together with his energy. Later, he goes on to say, to practice bhakti yoga, loving service to God, means to become free from designations like Hindu, Muslim, Christian, this or that, and simply to serve God. We have created Christian, Hindu, and Mohammedan religions, but when we come to a religion without designations, in which we don't think we are Hindus or Christians or Mohammedans, then we can speak of pure religion or bhakti. And so bhakti and Hare Krishna and ISKCON, it's non-sectarian. So it's not like identifying with a Christian faith or a Hindu faith or a Mohammedan faith. And Krishna is known in three features, Bhagavan, Paramatma, and Brahman. And so this is a very, very nice walk. I'm going to 41 here. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Purport, I'm going to jump to the word faith on the next page. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma sudur labha, by which one comes to know perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As water on the root of a tree is automatically distributed to the leaves and branches in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. So this is an important purport. This actually inspired Srila Prabhupada in the 50s, this verse actually, and Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur's purport on this verse really inspired Srila Prabhupada. It is known to take upon his, to take up his spiritual master's directions. So powerful verse here that really inspired Srila Prabhupada to go even further and to really carry out his spiritual master's instructions. 42 through 43. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resulting in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there's nothing more than this. Purport. People in general are not very intelligent, and due to their ignorance, they are most attached to the fruitive activities recommended in the Karma Kanda portions of the Vedas. They do not want anything more than sense gratificatory proposals for enjoying life in heaven, where wine and women are available and material opulence is very common. In the Vedas, many sacrifices are recommended for elevation to the heavenly planets, especially the Jyotishtoma sacrifices. In fact, it is stated that anyone desiring elevation to heavenly planets must perform these sacrifices. And men with a poor fund of knowledge think that this is the whole purpose of Vedic wisdom. It is very difficult for such inexperienced persons to be situated in the determined action of Krishna consciousness. As fools are attached to the flowers of poisonous trees without knowing the results of such attractions, similarly, unenlightened men are attracted by such heavenly opulence and the sense enjoyment thereof. So we're not interested in going to the heavenly planets because it's temporary. It's not eternal. You're not eternally enjoying in Krishna's abode. You're taking a birth, and then they may be living for a very long time, but they're going to have to give up their body and then go back down to the lower planets. And so that's not very attractive, because this idea of death we don't like that. You know, it's so wonderful to learn when we come here that, you know, we're eternal and we never die. You know, we're beyond this conception of birth and death. And so going to other planets. And, the scientists don't always know everything. Because lies can be built on top of lies, but one bit of truth can bring down a whole mountain of lies. In the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad-gita, are those truth weapons, those weapons of eternal, powerful truth, like Srimad Bhagavatam, the way it talks about where we live, Bharat Varsha and Jambudweep, and how it may not be exactly as the scientists have told us. As we've known our whole lives, we've had this conception of the way things are, and it may not quite be so. In fact, tomorrow is the first day of summer, and so it's neat to think about the sun making its southward journey. From the first day of winter to the first day of summer, it makes its northern journey, and the days become longer and longer for us. And then there's an actual time. I think it's 9. It might be like, let me get the exact time tomorrow. They know the minute that summer starts, or that the sun actually starts to reverse its course. And so that's pretty neat to think about. But we have to kind of give up our old conceptions that have been drilled into us since we were very young, and look at the Srimad Bhagavatam, and take the Srimad Bhagavatam as the truth that we've been seeking and that the world is missing out on. And it very detailed talks about the where we live and how it's put together. And it's ancient knowledge, very powerful. Going on to 47, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. And he says in the purport, there are 3 considerations here: prescribed duties, capricious work, and inaction. Prescribed duties refer to activities performed while one is in the modes of material nature. Capricious work means actions without the sanction of authority, and inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. The Lord advised that Arjuna not be inactive, but that he perform his prescribed duty without being attached to the result. One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of the action. Thus, he is the enjoyer or sufferer of the result of such actions. As far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into 3 subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. Routine work, in terms of the scriptural injunctions, is done without desire for results. As one has to do it, obligatory work is action in the mode of goodness. Work with results becomes the cause of bondage. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. Everyone has his proprietary right in regard to prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the result. Such disinterested obligatory duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. Arjuna was therefore advised by the Lord to fight as a matter of duty without attachment to the result. His non-participation in the battle is another side of attachment. Such attachment never leads one to the path of salvation. Any attachment, positive or negative, is cause for bondage. Inaction is sinful. Therefore, fighting as a matter of duty was the only auspicious path for salvation for Arjuna. So Arjuna was getting things mixed up in his mind, as we do sometimes, and he was kind of identifying with the body, and he was thinking he was being compassionate by not wanting to take on the other side. But it was actually his duty as a kshatriya, and Krishna wanted it to be done. And it was already done to some extent. He just had to be a tool in Krishna's hands. So going into a little bit of Sankhya Yoga, the process of linking with the Supreme by intellectually tracing out the source of creation. Sankhya, analytical study of matter and spirit. analytical discrimination between spirit and matter, and the path of devotional service as described by Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti in the Srimad Bhagavatam, analytical understanding of the body and the soul. Sankhya Yoga, the process of linking with the Supreme by intellectually tracing out the source of creation. An analysis of matter and spirit taught by sage Nirishvara Kapila, one of the 6 systems of Vedic philosophy. Atheistic Sankhya, or leaving Krishna out, is like trying to milk the nipples of a goat. So the nipples on the neck of a goat. A goat will have some nipples up here on the neck. And if you try to milk those nipples, you won't get any results. So that's kind of like the atheistic Sankhya, Srila Prabhupada says. So here in Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada says in a purport, Sankhya philosophy, as is well known, deals with Prakriti and Purusha. Purusha is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or anyone who imitates the Supreme Personality of Godhead as an enjoyer. And Prakriti means nature. In this material world, material nature is being exploited by the Purushas, or the living entities. The intricacies in the material world of the relationship of the Prakriti and Purusha, or the enjoyed and the enjoyer, is called samsara, or material entanglement. Devahuti wanted to cut the tree of material entanglement, and she found the suitable weapon in Kapila Muni. The tree of material existence is explained in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad-gita as an Ashvata tree whose root is upwards and whose branches are downwards. It is recommended there that one has to cut the root of this material existential tree with the acts of detachment. What is the attachment? The attachment involves Prakriti and Purusha. The living entities are trying to lord it over material nature. Since the conditioned soul takes material nature to be the object of his enjoyment, and he takes the position of the enjoyer, he is therefore called Purusha. Analysis is a term somewhat similar in meaning to Sankhya. It comes from the Greek an, meaning up, plus lian, to loosen, to untie, meaning to resolve into its elements. Analysis is the procedure of separating a problem into component parts in order to 1, study the parts separately, 2, study their interrelationships, or 3, study how they relate to the whole. In 1973, Dr. Singh in Los Angeles said, Srila Prabhupada, may we hear a little bit about Sankhya philosophy? Srila Prabhupada said, there are actually 2 kinds of Sankhya philosophy, the ancient Sankhya philosophy originally taught by Lord Kapila Dev, and the modern Sankhya philosophy taught more recently by the atheist Kapila. Lord Kapila's Sankhya explains how to become detached from matter and search out Lord Vishnu within the heart. This Sankhya is actually a process of devotional service, but the modern Sankhya philosophy simply analyzes the material world into its various elements. In that respect, it's just like modern scientific research. Sankhya means to count. We are also Sankhya philosophers to some extent because we count the material elements. This is land, this is water, this is fire, this is air, this is ether. Furthermore, I can count my mind, my intelligence, and my ego. Beyond my ego, however, I cannot count. But Krishna says that there is something beyond the ego, and that is the living force. That is what scientists do not know. They think that life is merely a combination of material elements, but Krishna denies this in the Bhagavad-gita 7.5. Besides this inferior nature, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, there is a superior energy of mind, which consists of all the living entities who are struggling with material nature and sustaining the universe. Dr. Singh, are both the inferior and the superior energies studied in modern Sankhya philosophy? Srila Prabhupada, no. Modern Sankhya philosophers do not study the superior energy. They simply analyze the material elements just as the scientists are doing. The scientists do not know that there is spirit soul, nor do the Sankhya philosophers. And yeah, tomorrow at 9:57 a.m. And so yeah, where do they think that life somehow comes from chemicals, or that life comes from an explosion, but when do we see something so beautiful coming from an explosion. An explosion is destructive, not creative. And chemicals come from life. Krishna is the supreme person. He's the personality of Godhead, the supreme personality of Godhead. And so we were created in his image. And so everything we see around us is his property. So we don't really own anything. We don't have any proprietorship over anything because it's all his. And we were talking a little bit recently about how women need protection. Usually the father protects the daughter and the brother, and then the brother protects the sister, and then the husband is supposed to protect the wife. But sometimes in this modern age, people are very often going away, leaving their home when they're 18 in America, and they want their independence. And sometimes the women are saying, I want my complete independence, but they also will complain, well, I don't have no one's protecting me or something. So it's a little bit, can't have it both ways, because a person can't say they want complete freedom, but also to be protected, So that's one of the problems that's going on today, is that people want this complete freedom to make mistakes, to burn their hand in the fire, sometimes over and over again. And they think that's freedom or happiness, but it's actually mode of ignorance. And to, pain, the absence of pain is not true, real pleasure, And so people need protection, women need protection, and we all do. And so we have to give up certain things to get that protection. Speaking of giving up something, we have to give up maybe a part of ourselves to get to the next level, maybe some false ego or some attachment to something, but there's something we're clinging on to. It's kind of like we're on a boat. Our boat has capsized and there's a rope there, and we've grabbed on, but we're kind of still holding on to that rope of the old boat that's sinking, So all we have to do is let go of the old boat, the old attachment, and let ourselves be dragged onto safety and to rescue. So let's not cling to the old boat. That's the sinking ship. And there will be ups and downs, but we just have to stay strong. We're learning how to get back on the horse, and we're learning how to take Krishna's instructions and Guru's instructions, and hopefully approaching a spiritual master. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Render service unto him and inquire from him submissively. Self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So that's the rope that we're trying to grab onto. And our old teacher, our old guru might have been the material energy, the old boat that we're still somewhat clinging on to, or maybe it's a part of ourselves that we're trying to fix, or we're trying to learn how to react properly, or how to get rid of anger and greed and envy and things like that. And so we're just trying to follow Guru's instructions, and Srila Prabhupada his instructions, and Sri Krishna's instructions, and Lord Chaitanya, and all the line of Vaishnavacharyas, the great teachers, the great gurus. And so thank you for all your help. Always, all of you are always assisting me. We're always trying to assist each other. I'm so lucky. I know have had a chance to be here. I know how lucky I am. We're the lucky ones that get to chant the Maha Mantra, and I'm so thankful for your association and your willingness to help and your helping spirit on a Sunday celebration, on a Sunday program, Love Festival. It's so fun to see everyone. There's some new people that come in, and everyone wants to get to know the new people, and they want to help, and they want to help give them that rope. They want to help lift them out of the struggle that they're in of material existence, and they made it here. So something special about anyone that's come here. And so it's such a fun process, and not always easy. Growth is not always obvious. It's not always painless, and it's not always immediate. Sometimes where growth might come in a week from now, or you might read something and you might get the results a week later or something. So it's not always obvious, easy, or painless, but just keep climbing the mountain and have fun with the process. So any comments on some of these things or questions? Anyone? Yes, Jai Keshava Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for your enlightening class, Prabhu. My question is, I have so many material desires that continue to bubble up, and knowing how to, I guess, distinguish between something they're to act on or they're not to act on. And I guess my real question is, like, we're working on, I'm working under the three modes of material nature now. I'm not a pure devotee. How to keep those material desires at bay until you can get to that platform of pure devotional service where you're not affected by those modes, and you don't have to do that prescribed duty anymore that Srila Prabhupada talks about in the purport, which are affected by the three modes of material nature.
The last part about the prescribed duty, again.
Yeah, how to transcend that prescribed duty.
What is the prescribed duty again?
It could be like seeking a career, or let's just say that one, because that one strikes close to home for me.
Yeah, we're all in different places, different walks of life, and there's so many devotees. Most devotees in ISKCON don't necessarily live in the temple, so they're out there, they're working, but Srila Prabhupada makes it clear, and Krishna makes it clear that, just devote. You can work. Any work can be dovetailed into Krishna consciousness. So I'm trying to remind myself of that a lot as well. And, some of these things that we're, are not permanent. Some of these walks of life that people are out there, they're not permanent. Someone may be working at a gas station, but they're working on elevating their Krishna consciousness, and it may not be permanent. Krishna may have something very exciting in store for them and for us that we have no idea. But it makes it clear that it's okay to work and try to do. We can't do it all. Sometimes there's so many great activities in the temple, and we want to do it all, and sometimes we feel bad that we can't do it all, but we would never want to let that make us kind of negative, or just because maybe I feel bad that I couldn't do something or didn't do a certain temple activity. I would never want to let that negatively affect my mood, and then I pass that on to someone else. Or I think we can never beat ourselves up too much, because then it could have a domino effect where we are a little negative towards someone else, and then that's going to go on. It's this domino effect that we have to be aware of. And, we don't want to say something where we feel like, oh, I wish I could have said that differently, or I wish I could correct myself. but we know sometimes trying to correct ourselves may only dig a deeper hole. So, but taking part in the temple activities and as much as possible, and chanting the Maha Mantra and keeping Krishna in mind while we're doing our work, whatever it is, try to chant the Maha Mantra in your mind, if nothing else. And distributing a book is going to make us feel better. Maybe whenever we feel bad or we need to have some sort of go-to, maybe it's a certain verse. Like, well, whenever I'm feeling this way, I chant this verse. And whenever I whenever I feel this way, I had something else in my mind, but and maybe a couple things. And but I like what you said once about quieting the mind. The material urge comes up and you say, not today, tomorrow, put it off. Just like you might tell a child at a grocery store, that's crying about some candy. You say, next time I'll get the, next time. And then a lot of times the child forgets about it. A lot of times it's just in the moment. It's a tough moment. But if we can, get past the moment, if we can fight that thought the way Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight the other side, just think, hey, Arjuna was willing to fight to the death. I can conquer this thought. I can get over this thought. If Arjuna is willing to die, I can get over this little thought, something like that. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai. Bhagavad-gita as it is, Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.